The three things you should know about long-term care. One, what is it? I consider long-term care nursing home care, assisted living care, and in-home care. It would be ideal, wouldn't it, if you could be cared for in the comfort of your own home? But that's considered also long-term care. Sometimes you may need a level of care that's assisted living level of care, which is where you have somebody there 24 hours that can provide service, nursing services for you, medication dispensary, prepare meals. However, you still are able to walk, get around, socialize, and you just may need a little help. Nursing home care or skilled nursing care is where you do need round-the-clock care, and mobility is limited, and there could be other factors as well. So that, in a nutshell, is what long-term care is. When we speak of long-term care, you'll hear people talk about it as extended care, end-of-life care, all kind of different terms, but I call it long-term care. 2, 70% of seniors, let me repeat that, 70% of seniors over the age of 65 today are going to need some type of long-term care during their lifetime. Those are huge odds. Those are absolutely huge odds. If I told you that there was a 70% chance of rain today, would you dress accordingly? Would you bring an umbrella? Would you think about it? Would you wear a hairnet? I don't know, something to account for the rain. There is a 70% chance that seniors today, according to a U.S. Department of Health and Human Services report, will need some type of long-term care during their lifetimes. Again, those are huge odds. Plan accordingly. The average cost of assisted living and nursing home care is between $60 and $100 or more $1,000. That is extremely expensive. That is the cost of care today and what it costs a provider to provide you with that round-the-clock care. Again, plan accordingly. Many seniors, and this is what I hate, it breaks my heart, lose everything that they've worked for their entire life in the last few years of their life. That's not right. But there are solutions. There are answers, even if you are in what I call an emergency Medicaid crisis situation where somebody needs care right now or is in care and money is being spent down rapidly. So click through on the button below and we will talk some more about Medicaid crisis planning. How are you paying for long-term care? That's a great question. Many people never ask that question until it's already upon them. Hopefully, you have some type of long-term care insurance in place. If not, Medicare, and let me make this clear, Medicare will not pay for long-term care. Medicare will not pay for in-home, assisted living, or nursing home care. Medicare will pay for rehabilitation as long as you're improving for 20 days. After that, Medicare will pay, but there will be a copay that you pay out of your pocket. Or you could have a private insurance supplement that pays that copay, so you combine the 20 days Medicare pays, the next 80 days you pay with the copay or the private insurance supplement, it's covered, but that still leaves only 100 days. After that, who pays? You do, out of your pocket. If you do, and if you're one of the few that I know of that have long-term care insurance, then long-term care insurance will pick up or can pick up, depending on your policy, and pay for in-home, assisted living, or nursing home care. However, many people do not have long-term care insurance, and you may already be in what I call a Medicaid crisis situation. So, if you are looking at thousands of dollars per month, sometimes as large as $60,000 to $100,000 per year or more, being spent down rapidly out of your assets, then you're asking the question, how can I afford to keep doing this long term? If you're concerned about the high cost of assisted living or nursing home care, there are options for you. There are answers and solutions. And that is something that we do at our firm. At McIntyre Elder Law, I love doing Medicaid crisis planning and engaging in the many, many different ways that we can help people save their home, their other property, their money, their retirement, and other assets, either for their children or for their husband or for their wife. I see many people do what I call a hang your head spin down. They just hang their head and they go to social services and they spend down all their money. And the great social workers, they're doing work for a lot of people, but they're not attorneys and they can't give you legal advice. So they can't tell you all the many ways that you can save your home, your other property, your money, and your retirement, but still qualify for the Medicaid benefit that your tax dollars pay for. So that's one of the things and one of the services that we offer. And now, you're in the educational series just on Medicaid crisis planning. So that's all I'm talking about right now is how to save it in those specific situations. Many times I see a scared spouse that has experienced their husband or their wife with a stroke or with early onset Alzheimer's or dementia, and their retirement, they both worked and they both scrimped and saved their whole lives so that they could have a retirement and have some time together. But all that money is going toward long-term care, and it's being spent down very rapidly. So the spouse is extremely concerned that he or she will not have, and that spouse may have decades of healthy living and years to live and to prosper, but is concerned they're going to be destitute and broke because all their money right now and income is being spent down and goes toward long-term care, assisted living or nursing home care for that other spouse. We can get in those situations, and there are options, there are answers, and there are solutions to save that retirement, to save that money, to save that real estate and that property for the family. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about Medicaid crisis planning. There are solutions, and that is one of the ways that you can pay for assisted living or nursing home care. Now, we're talking about Medicaid crisis planning, but I'll put something else in here. If you're a veteran, spouse of a veteran, or spouse of a deceased veteran, you could also exercise a pension option that could be a possibility for you for veterans aid and attendance pension benefits. We qualify veterans, spouse of veterans, and spouse of deceased veterans for veterans aid and attendance pension benefits, which adds a maximum of approximately $34,000 down to around $14,000, depending on if it's two married veterans, a veteran and a dependent, spouse of a veteran, or spouse of a deceased veteran, and it tiers down from there. So we could add those substantial income that wasn't already there that can allow someone to have a real shortfall where they're spending down assets to pay for assisted living care, for example, to being able to pay for that care or have more than enough money to pay for that care, private pay. We love to do that. We'd love to talk to you if you're a veteran about that option as well. So just remember that if you're a veteran, that could be an option for you, your spouse, or if you were married to a veteran and he or she has passed away, could be an option for you as well as your mother or father if you're a child of someone who is needing care or is in declining health. That is also an option. And when we do a consult or when we do an assessment, that's one of the things we ask, and that's one of the things we look at is whether to go toward a long-term care route, insurance route, and we don't sell insurance. Again, I'm a legal professional. I'm an attorney. But the long-term care route or a Medicaid route to pay for care or a veterans aid and attendance pension benefit route to pay for care. Please click below. I have another important video that I'd like you to see. The three most important things that you should do when you're in a Medicaid long-term care crisis. So when the money's being spent down, you're not sure what to do, you think you're past the time that you could, the look back period, which is 5 years, okay, to protect hard-earned money and property for, say, nursing home care, or in North Carolina right now, it's 3 years for assisted living care, 5 years for nursing home care, have to have everything done outside of that, you think. Well, there are answers and solutions even within that look back period. And that's why it's important to act, okay, and to get proper knowledge. So one, in my opinion, thing that you should do now is you should make sure that there's a general durable power of attorney. If that person's competent, they should have a general durable power of attorney, in my opinion, in place with a person they really, really trust so that that person can act for them to make sure the band plays on, to make sure the bills are paid, to make sure that assets can even be moved or deeds can be put in place to protect property, the home, money, things like that, and to qualify, to allow qualification for a benefit like Medicaid or veterans aid and attendance pension benefits. If a general durable power of attorney is not in place for personal business and legal matters, then it could lead to massive problems that could lead to the necessity to get to pursue a guardianship for that person, which is essentially puts the court in charge of how that money is spent and how it's saved. And it makes it very difficult to engage in protective planning to qualify for Medicaid or veterans benefit planning. So a general durable power of attorney, probably one of the most important documents that, in my opinion and in my experience, could be put in place if someone is in a long-term care, healthcare crisis situation. 2, deed planning and protection. There are many times things that can be done even within that look back period right away that can save real property, real estate, can save the home, that can save the farm for the family, that can save the rental house, that can save farmland, that can save any kind of real property. There are things that can be done, and there are options that need to be pursued or at least examined. So looking at how to save property, what's your plan to try to save retirement if you're a wife of a husband who's in care? What's your plan to save some of that retirement money so that you can have that to live on like your husband wanted you to? How can we make sure also that the senior that's in care is well taken care of? All those options need to be considered, but there are and explored, and there are options and there are solutions that need to be reached and that can be reached. So 3, see a professional. See an estate planning or elder law attorney. And really, in this case, it's an elder law attorney who's steeped and experienced in Medicaid spend downs and who's experienced in veterans aid and attendance pension benefit planning. Now, as a veteran myself of the U.S. Navy, I pride myself on helping veterans pursue pension benefits. And as a certified attorney through the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, I'm very honored, and a member of American Legion, and which I'm very involved in. I'm very honored to work with veterans and other seniors on a regular basis. So, seeing a professional, it always makes me feel great when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, I heard this about you, or I heard that about you, or somebody recommended me and to you, and can you help me? This is what's going on with my father, my mother, my husband, my wife. Can you help us?" And the answer is always, let's take a look at it. I hope that I can help, and we get down to business of seeing how we can help that senior and that family save their hard-earned money and property. Click below for yet one more educational video concerning Medicaid and long-term care crisis planning. Okay, so you've seen the other videos. Now, why should you talk to a professional? Why should you see an elder law attorney? Well, I'll tell you why. When I need to have my car worked on, I'm not a mechanic. I go to a mechanic and I say, what's wrong with my car? How do I fix it? When I have a problem or I have a need, I go to the person who knows how to solve that problem or fulfill that need. If you have a long-term care crisis or Medicaid crisis situation for long-term care and spend down situation, then you have a need that an elder law attorney could potentially solve. So that's where you're at. And you need to know what you don't know, you don't know. You don't know, you don't know, right? I mean, you need to find out those answers. And that's why you're here. So I would think it would behoove you, I love that word, behoove you, to see an elder law attorney, to seek counsel, at least to talk about the situation. You never know what you might learn, or if that person may have a solution for you to solve your problem. I've had people cry in my office because they didn't know. We were doing planning for them, and they didn't know that they could have saved mom or dad's house or the farm if they would have had somebody like me, an elder law attorney like me, in their life at that time. If they would have come and seen me at that time. And I'm saving their house right now. But they could have saved something, a piece of land that had been in the family for a long time, or mom or dad's house that was worth a lot of value that could have helped, with the family. It would have been more resources. It could have sent a grandchild to college. But they didn't know. And they're angry and sad because they didn't know. And they just did what they thought they were supposed to do from what they knew at the time. I have had, in the veterans pension world, a spouse who had been taking care of her husband at home for 20 plus years, and could have had the Veterans Aid and Attendance Pension benefit the entire time. Now, she became our client, and we qualified her for that Veterans Aid and Attendance Pension benefit. But the sad part was she left $200,000 plus on the table that she could have had over that 20 years. That could have really helped that family. That could have helped her maybe hire some other care to come in-house and help care for her husband. So, know your options. Knowledge is power. Be powerful. Go see an elder law attorney. In my opinion, if you have a Medicaid or long-term care crisis situation, that is exactly what you should do. Okay? Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I love talking about what I'm passionate about and what I do. Again, I'm Greg McIntyre with McIntyre Elder Law. Now, I know that we have a free assessment offer for you if you're in the situation where you need long-term care counseling and crisis counseling, Medicaid crisis planning. Then we'd be glad to provide that free assessment for you. And we have a few questions for you to answer. So click through and answer those questions for me, and we'll provide that free assessment for you. And have a great day.